Hello, this is Alexa, and you are listening to the Wishbeads podcast. I have an incredibly special guest. Tara Jones-Williamson is a woman that I met, and I was so impressed because she has a wonderful company called Your Pretty Pennies. And I remember years ago learning from a financial teacher that the energy that you have with a penny is a powerful imprint to the energy you have with millions of dollars. And yet many of us actually overlook a penny if we walk in on the street. Oh, I don't need that penny. But Tara has an extraordinary story where as a young single mom, college student, found herself $60,000 in debt, and using her tenacity and her creativity, her courage, her persistence, she not only got herself out of debt, but built an entire business around empowering women to become financially empowered and learn, really truly learn how to change their lives through financial freedom. And now she is a financial success coach. She's a speaker and just an amazingly positive, powerful human being. I am so excited to introduce her to you because I think, money is energy. And when you're thinking about your wishes and I know you got them, then suddenly one of the things that really stops people is, how am I going to pull this off? How am I going to pay for this? And when you can lean into learning about money with curiosity and compassion, understanding that it's a powerful vehicle, not only for helping you achieve your wishes and dreams, but also as a way for you to empower others, then it makes the journey so much more exciting and fulfilling and rewarding. So today on the podcast, you're going to hear not only her story, but actually some incredible tips for you to start transforming your relationship with money today. And I, for one, thank you. I thank you for being here. I thank you for listening or watching, being a part of this Wishbeads community. Because when we wish, again, it is not just about our own lives. It's about the lives that we can impact as a result of you bringing your best, most positive energy to the world in taking action and making that business happen or a better situation for your family. Because your happiness spills over, your success spills over. And the learning that you've done spills over and touches the lives of people you come into contact with, or people that maybe you don't even know are seeing your success or your inspiration or your post or whatever that is. So when you win, it's not just for you, it's for others. And sometimes that can keep you more motivated. So thank you for being here. Hey, and by the way, I always forget to mention this, but if you're enjoying the Wishbeads podcast, would you do me a solid and leave a review in iTunes? And that way, more people can discover the stories behind Wishbeads fans, friends, and individuals who are also putting really great positive content out into the world. So thank you for that in advance. Now, without further ado, I am absolutely thrilled to have you meet Tara Jones-Williamson. Hello, Tara. I am so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me for the Wishbeads podcast. Welcome, welcome.
This is awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for this conversation.
And sometimes when I got excited because I was like, let's talk about money.
Yes.
Because so many people have this thing where they're like, no, I'm not going to talk about it. Or we don't talk about that. That's not proper to talk about. But if you're in the business of wishing, usually making your wishes come true means having a really great, healthy relationship to money.
Yeah, because all it is, the way you should look at it is using your money, your income to create the lifestyle you desire. Your money supports your wishes, just like anything else in your life. So take all of the ickiness out, the negative energy out, and just really use it as a tool to manifest that wish you desire. That is like everything I'm about.
Yes. And that's why I wanted to have you not only on the Wishbeads podcast, but as my special guest for our Wish Circle in the month of May, which we'll talk about later, because I love to bring things that make people a little bit uneasy and bring them to the light of day, and especially highlight people and their stories. And I was so psyched when I heard about your website, Your Pretty Pennies. I was like, I love this because money is energy. And when you even acknowledge how powerful a penny can be and tap into that power, you can build it to phenomenal wealth.
Yes.
And so I want to go back in time. I want all my watchers and listeners and, wish warriors to know about your story, because it's the thing that really, I just was sort of blown away. So take us back like 10 years or so, when you had sort of your own awakening to the power of money and your decision to change your life.
Okay, well, Alexa, I always say my financial journey, intentional financial journey, right? We're all on a financial journey of managing money, making money, spending money, all of that. But it really started when I was 21, about 12 years ago, when I was a full-time college student, part-time worker, became a single mother, smack dab in the middle of my college career. And that truly prompted my financial journey, because when I brought my daughter home, I had $0 in the bank. And I mean, Alexa, not $1. I'm not like exaggerating, like no money, because leading up to that, once you start to have children and you start to get further along in your pregnancy, you work and work less. Well, that money that I actually had saved up and I worked for was going towards buying all the things for her, furnishing her the bedroom and everything else. And so when I brought her home, I had $0 in the bank. And that truly shook me to my core. Before then, I never really had any financial training. Really wasn't presented at school. There was no financial classes given in college, right? None from your parents, really. As like we talked about, it's always a hush hush thing, how people manage money. Don't bring it up. It's improper, right? And so I really was met at this crossroad where I can say, you know what? I can either be down on myself, stay where I am, or I can really step into my own personal power and really transform my financial trajectory. And so, like I said, I was still going to college full time, had her in July. By August, the end of August, I was back in college full time. Ask me how I did it. I don't even remember. I don't even know. Like, it's just, looking back on my stories, it's quite amazing. And I enrolled in personal finance classes. So I said, you know what? I'm in college, going to school for biology at the time. But I said, you know what? I'm going to learn about money, because now more than ever, I realize that my money habits are so important to support not only myself, but my child. And so I enrolled in personal finance classes. I self-studied. I listened to books, read books, listen to podcasts, audiobooks, everything I can get my hands on from other individuals. And I created what I like to call this financial plan for myself. So when I got out of college 2 years after that, I was able to pay off over $60,000 in less than 2 years. And I used that same financial plan to keep me on that track, keep me financially free, building wealth by the time I was 30 years old. As a single mother, I'm now married with 3 children now, because I had a daughter and my husband brought 2 children in the marriage. But, using that plan that I created all those years ago allowed me to really, truly manifest a whole different financial lifestyle and a whole different personal lifestyle.
I mean, there's so many things I want to ask you about to go even a little bit deeper. One, I really want to acknowledge that you leaned into the learning. You actually recognized that there was a gap in knowledge, that if you had more knowledge and put in the work to take the class, to study. And I remember, I have 2 kids, and I remember the exhaustion and trying to work when you have young ones and all that. Oh, yeah. So like major props also to be 21. Like I had my first baby at 34. So at 21, you probably had more energy than me. But I mean,
I had more energy, but I also felt very young.
Yeah, you were young. That's young. It's very, very young. But what was it? Was there a moment for you that you had that awakening of like, I have got like, okay, I'm a biology major, but the learning of money, managing money, financial planning, was there a moment for you that like an aha moment or something somebody said to you that went, okay, here's my ticket out of here. Here's my ticket to transform my life. Was there a moment in time that was that aha, or was
So
it
for me, my natural personality is that I'm a researcher by nature,
okay?
which is probably why I thrived in the sciences all my life, is because I will seek information until no end. And I will sit there and read or research or whatever until I fully understand and grasp a concept, right? Until that point, you don't know what you don't know, first of all. And
True.
second of all, my way of spending money didn't affect anybody else. And it affected me so I thought just fine because, I would get paid as a college student, high school student, having my little jobs, I would get paid and spend all of my money. And then I'd be broke until the next time I got paid again. Well, I didn't mind that, right? I didn't have bills
Works
to
for
pay.
you.
Yeah, it works for me. I had all the clothes and shoes I wanted, had my car, gas in my car. It was just fine. But once you bring another person into the world, and once you get a revelation of what type of lifestyle you desire, like that next level, it causes you to say, okay, I'm at point A, I want to be at point B. What am I missing here? Like you said, what's going to help me fill in this gap? And for me, I knew it was the information, the knowledge of what to do with money. I knew once I had that information, I'll be able to run with it.
Gosh, it's so cool in the sense that you can also acknowledge, like I was just working through some of this type of content with the people who are doing my Wish workshop. And it was like, you have to acknowledge your strengths.
Yeah.
And so I love the fact that you recognize you knew yourself enough to be like, I love research. Like, this is what I'm really good at. And then another choice to say, okay, what can I take my strengths, my natural strengths, and then just apply them to some other area in which is going to improve my life. It's going to have an impact in my life. And I love that. I love that. Now, I want to actually get a little bit to this nuts and bolts pieces and more into the giant leap from like, I'm 60 grand in debt to like, I'm financially free. And I think it's so interesting that how intentionally you create a business called Your Pretty Pennies. Talk to me about that name and then how it relates to your philosophy of financial management.
So here's the thing. How Your Pretty Pennies came about was me looking back on my history with money, like with the paying off the debt, the creating the financial plan and everything else. And so during that period, like that 2 to 3 year period, because 2 years was debt repayment, and then another year I was building up income. I was, trying to build income, saving money in the bank, starting to learn about investments and different things like that. One of the pillars that I said to myself, this is before I even thought of having a business, Alexa, before my blog, before anything, this was just my own personal journey, right? I said, I don't want to look like what I'm going through, meaning you don't have to feel sorry for yourself. You don't have to be, woe, it's me. There's other financial experts who promote basically looking the bare bones, eating the bare bones, scorched earth. That is not me, right? That's not me. That's kind of like not what I teach other women. I don't think as women that is a healthy lifestyle choice, because this is a journey, right? Life is a journey and not a marathon. And there's going to be uncomfortable moments, but you still should be able to keep yourself up, enjoy the day, smell the roses, buy a rose. If you don't have one around you, go out and buy a rose, buy a tulip, right? Figuratively and literally, right? So for me, it was remaining pretty while I was doing drastic changes in my finances. And one of those things were finding ways to kind of uphold and maintain the lifestyle that I had, but not using all of my income to do so. For example, I loved clothes. I love shoes. I love to look presentable. Okay, how can I substitute that during this season of trying to become financially free? Thrift shopping. So for me, I love to go to the thrift stores, and I don't just get anything. I get the high quality stuff. I get the really nice stuff, the brands that I like, right? You know, oftentimes when people think of thrift shop and they think of secondhand stuff that's tattered and everything else. And truly, you can get stuff.
You can find great stuff.
Great stuff. Vintage. I'm obsessed with vintage now. Vintage pieces that are just high quality, you know. And so just different things like that. Learning new ways to live your life, manifest the lifestyle you desire without it costing so much money, so you can use that money to really transform your finances.
Yeah, I love that. And I also think the idea of delighting yourself along the way instead of putting yourself down or living in scarcity. And I know that there's a lot of people doing this in the weight management space. Instead of talking about dieting of like depriving yourself, it's actually empowering yourself with just choices that still feel good to your body and you enjoy eating. And so I love this idea with money and being creative about identifying what you still want, but doing it, let's say, in a different way.
Yes.
So you can keep your eye on that prize of, building up your bank account. You also mentioned that, sometimes, two things. When you talk about your mentality around money, and how did you, I guess, and I'm actually asking because I know a lot of people either are not discussing money at all, or they're feeling badly that they feel like they don't know how to do it right. And they look at everybody else who's accumulating wealth and think, oh, I just don't have that skill. How do you address that with the people that you work with, the women that you work with, in terms of building a new relationship, like almost like a mentality towards money?
Yeah. So the first thing that I do is tell them to decide to think differently and have a different relationship with money today. That is a decision, right? You don't need an aha moment. You don't decide that today you're going to develop a new relationship with money, period, right? And then change the way you relate to money. So if you see how I talk about money, money to me supports my lifestyle. Now, if that's a lifestyle that I wanted of debt freedom at one point, lifestyle of building wealth, a lifestyle of having a savings account, a lifestyle of buying a new home, no matter what your financial goal is, when you start to look at money as this is another resource in my arsenal to truly create the lifestyle I desire, versus dredging up the past, being down on yourself, telling yourself what you did wrong, what you couldn't do, what you shouldn't do, shoulda, woulda, couldn't all over yourself, right? Change that inner talk, right? And then another thing that I was going to say is really realize that money is just energy, a very neutral thing. Like anything else, it has an energy to it. You get to decide whether that energy is positive or that energy is negative. Now, keep in mind, I'm using the word you and decide. So each and every individual gets to decide for them, not what their parents told them about money, not what their grandparents or great-grandparents showed them when they were in the Great Depression. We are stepping into our own financial power, our own personal power, and getting to decide how you get to use your money, manage your money, right? Yeah. So that is the biggest thing, is realizing that it starts with you.
Yes, and yes. Because in the same way that no one can make your wishes come true, you have to decide that you are excited, ready, willing, able, and say yes to taking the action, and the mindset action, the physical action, the energetic action, and saying like, I'm in, let's play this game.
And here's the thing, Alexa, you talked about that, like, oh, some people feel like, oh, I don't have this skill of managing money. I don't know how to do it. I wasn't born like that. I'm not like that. My brain doesn't work like that. Here's the thing. Money management is a skill. It's not a gift. It's not a talent. You're not born with it. Anyone can develop the skill with patience, with time, with intentionality of managing their money in a way that promotes and supports the lifestyle that they desire, period.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Like it's no one is endowed with it. You can do it too.
Absolutely. And there's some people, yeah, I agreed, 100% agreed. I want to also share a little bit about your journey. You say you didn't start off thinking like, oh, I mean, I'm a biology major, I'm a mom, I'm working on my, financial literacy and management, my relationship to money. But I believe when we talked about your story, and I've listened to your other podcasts with other people, talk to me about how this all began for you. Because it was, if and I don't want to give it away, but something that came easily to you, that you were genuinely excited about, that you genuinely wanted to offer somebody, to give them advice. But can you share with us like the sort of part one of your journey before it turned into creating a business called Your Pretty Pennies?
Yeah. So before, I went to school for biology. And the reason why I went to school for biology was because when I was young, at least since I can remember 8 years old, my father used to always say, "Oh my goodness, you're going to be so helpful. You're going to help so many women. You're going to you're just so nurturing, so caring, so giving, so this, so that, really instilling in me what my strengths are, right?" And so he will always say, "You're going to be my little doctor. You're going to be my little doctor. You're going to be my little doctor." And so going off into high school and into college, the only thing I thought, which I really had a passion and desire to work with women, was that I have to be a doctor, right? I have to be a doctor in order to serve and support women, because that was truly my passion. And once Your Pretty Penny, even before Your Pretty Pennies came about, my goal was either to be a dermatologist or a OBGYN, or something that promotes and supports heavily women, right? In that space. But now I am just so fulfilled and so thankful that Your Pretty Pennies came about, which was so ironic. Your Pretty Pennies developed before I even realized it developed.
I know. I want to hear that early part, because didn't it have something to do with teaching people about coupons? Did I make that up? Yeah.
Yes.
So tell me about that, because I think that a lot of times people think that they have to have the big thing that they have in mind. And I'm like, usually people come into things in a funny way. So if you zoom us back to now, you're a single mom, you're 21, you're in college, you have to make some life choices. Maybe I think you even moved back with your folks.
Yep.
Saving money.
I moved back with my parents after I had my daughter. Was working on that plan. So I was doing financial literacy, studying, still going to school full time. So, I really didn't have the disposable income to actually execute any financial goals at that point. Once I graduated in 2012, I said, all right, the game plan is here, right? It is on. So what I did was I went from working where I was. So I tripled my income by going to a different position at a different company, which was amazing the moment I graduated. And I almost didn't apply for that job until I seen a quote online that says, most men apply for jobs that they're underqualified for, and most women apply for jobs that they're overqualified for. And so I said, you know what? Let me get on the internet and find something that I am underqualified for, and I'm going to apply for it.
Okay, that was like, everybody take that in, okay?
Yes.
You get to green light yourself, meaning you get to say, someone says you're never going to win the lotto if you don't play the lotto. I'm not a big lotto player, but you got to throw your hat in the ring, people. You just got to go for it. I love this. Yes. Tara, yes.
So that is the first thing I did. So then the next thing that I did was I started paying off debt, right? So then paid off the debt in 2 years, started building my wealth. At this point, I started to tell people in my community, at my church, different things like that, what I was doing and how far I've came and how I've transformed my finances, moved out, had my own apartment, daughter had her own room. It was like, a lot of people around me seeing the financial transformation. So what people started coming to me, it first started at my church. They started coming to me and saying, hey, I heard you're really good at budgeting. Can you just help me set up my budget? So I used to start doing budgeting analysis and just setting up people's budgets, walk them through how to increase their income, decrease their expenses a little bit, and create that monthly budget. And then that was it. I didn't collect any money from it. It was just like something that I did on my spare time. And then I started to say to myself, okay, wow, this is pretty cool. I love helping women. At this time, I did pick up couponing. And that part is always vague to me. I can't remember what sparked it, if I seen a YouTube video, because around that time, YouTube started to become popular. Or maybe it was a video shared on Facebook, but somehow on my trajectory, I seen a video of extreme couponing. It wasn't the show, because there is a show on TLC called Extreme Couponing, but it was like a video of a woman who literally was using coupons and got like free stuff to the point where like, and even the store would pay them cash. Like, it was ridiculous. So I said, knowing me and my research brain, I researched it to the ground, and I mastered within, I would say like a month, how to extreme coupon. And by extreme couponing, all it means is instead of going to the store with that one coupon that you get from like the insert and Sunday paper, you might get like 20 cents off or $1 off. No, basically it's an art to it. So basically you have to go to the store, wait until there's a sale, wait until you can have store coupons plus the manufacturer coupon, and you get some type of cash back or money back from one of the stores, and combine it all and it equals zero. It's a thing. It works.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I started couponing, and I would post like my hauls on Instagram, on Facebook, and things like that. And people were like, can you teach me that? So along with the budgeting thing, can you teach me how not to have a household good budget? Basically, like groceries could be a zero balance for you in your budget, and household goods and toiletries was zero at that point. And so I was like literally in my community at the local library every weekend hosting classes about budgeting, about just being mindful about spending, overcover impulsive spending, couponing, things like that. Again, Your Pretty Pennies wasn't even thought of. It wasn't even like an idea in my mind. At this point, this was like in the latter half of me paying off those last couple thousands of debt, and then going into my building my savings and my nest egg. So for me, it was just like, it started to become a side hustle, because I would just teach classes and there would be like $12 a seat, right? It wasn't much at all. $12 a seat, could fit as many people as I wanted, to the point where my community, like the library, was like, you don't have to pay us to rent this space. You can come in for free because you're doing such a good thing in the community. And it just transformed into that. And then I was like, whoa, I'm getting kind of busy. Let me start documenting some of these processes, these financial processes, tips, strategies, things like that. So I created the blog called Your Pretty Pennies, and it just started off as a blog. At that point, I still had no desire to coach. I was still at my 9-to-5 that I absolutely loved in corporate America. I was in research and design. I was like half corporate, half laboratory. It was a very job role that they created for me, basically because of my full range of skill set, right? And so I just thought, hey, I'm just gonna ride this wave. And so I started to put Your Pretty Penny content on the internet. And then all of a sudden people nationally were reaching out like, hey, can I pay you to help me create a financial plan? And I'm like, I don't know anything about business, let alone doing online business. I'm like, how do I even get paid from, you're in Virginia, I'm here in Michigan. I don't even know how to collect money from you, you know? And so I really just had to go back to that research brain and really develop the ability to create a business. And so 6.5 years later, here I am as a financial success coach. So I do coaching, I do speaking. I have an online course and a platform financial planner. I don't coupon as much because it takes a little bit more time these days. And they kind of, the whole, what was it, the FTC? The FTC kind of changed the coupons to where you can't really extreme coupon as much.
They
And
kind of caught on like,
they
uh-oh,
caught
people are
on.
really good about this. This is not
Yeah,
good. We're
but
going
the
to lose
bad
money.
thing is, but the bad thing was that some people were reselling the goods, and that was against the coupon policy. Is
Yeah.
that you can't resell the goods in your own store without a seller's license and actually getting product from the manufacturer.
Okay.
So Procter and Gamble and Johnson and Johnson, all of them, they kind of shut that down.
Sure.
So that was the reason. So yeah, so I don't really extreme coupon as much, unfortunately. However, I am still so passionate about helping women manage their money and have a positive relationship with money, more importantly.
I mean, there's so many things about your story that I just want to highlight. And the fact that you took, again, going back to your strengths, your natural curiosity, your learner's mind, your love of research, and you also came from a place of selfless giving.
Yeah.
So you went to, and you were also courageous enough to share your journey with your community. So people seeing and knowing your story, okay, she moved back home. She's got her daughter. She's still in college. She graduated college. Now she's out on her own. And so you shared that story, but then you also found an opportunity when someone asked you to show up and give back. Yeah. And so you sharing, whether it's budgeting tips or getting into extreme couponing, which I think is awesome, that I love that it came from a place where, again, people are always wondering, what's my purpose or what's my big idea? And I want to start it and be big, but
be the person you needed.
Yeah. And allow it to unfold and overlap. All of the chapters of my career always overlapped. Always. One, I'm a very practical person, and I didn't like the feeling of if I completely say goodbye to this thing, it's too much pressure on this other thing. So your journey of stepping into this and using the spaces that were available, the communities that were available, listening to what people were asking you for. And also, because I've taught public speaking and confidence coaching for years, I also love that you started in a way, what I would call in a low stakes situation. You're like, it was $12 a seat. It was at the public library or my church. But the muscles of teaching were actually developed in those spaces. So whether you're talking about couponing or you're talking about a big budget or whatever, it's the same muscle of teaching and listening and doing from a place of love and support. It's just beautiful.
Thank you. And yeah, looking back on my trajectory, and I often journal about it because sometimes it gets unreal or sometimes I can get disconnected. If you don't look back at where you come from, you kind of forget because you're just here, right? And you kind of thinking about what's going on in the here and now. And I love journaling about and thinking about and pondering about like, wow, 10 years ago, life looked like this and now it looks like this. Wow, what an amazing journey. What an amazing transformation. Because, Tony Robbins always says everyone overestimates what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in 10 years. Right.
I love that so much. I've heard that before. My friend Kim, who works in conservation, she was the one years ago that was like, Alexa, think in decades.
Think in decades.
And my career chapters have always been decades.
Yeah.
And I also think that when you set a high, like a goal that's actually a little bit too high, you create anxiety. And maybe that's true if you've set a financial goal, like this month I'm going to save X number, instead of celebrating the little, you sort of despair in the not achieving the big, big, big. It's funny the way we do that.
Yeah, it's funny the way our brain works with that. And if you constantly are trying to do these big, lofty goals, even in finances, and you're constantly failing at them or falling short of them, you're training yourself that you can't trust yourself with goals. Oftentimes, individuals who are no longer setting goals, are no longer achieving goals, is because they unfortunately set too big of goals for themselves and didn't give themselves enough time to see it through, that they just quit on it. So now they have this subconscious relationship with goals saying, I don't want to do that because if I fail, I'm going to feel terrible about myself. So I'm not just going to set goals at all.
Yeah, I
But
could see that.
instead, just set realistic, I call them SMART goals,
Hmm.
specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and
Hmm.
time sensitive goals. Give yourself time. Where are you going? Right? We've taken all this time to get into our financial situation, but you don't give yourself enough time or grace going back with your past self and giving yourself,
Hmm.
that love and attention and that compassion that you need, because you made those choices with what you had. You have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Make peace with your past
Yeah.
and move forward and give yourself the ability to set one financial goal and then see it through and then do another and another and another. And little goals add up to big goals.
Absolutely. And time is all relative,
It's
you
all
know?
relative. Where are we rushing off to?
Yeah.
Right? Like, where are we rushing to?
Why is everyone running around? Well, I also, in learning about you, I do recall, and especially because you're a mom, but I want to talk about how you're changing the imprint of money with your children.
Oh,
And because I think that, whether you're learning financial literacy and empowerment, or you're also transforming it for future generations, how we plant the seeds about money, how we talk about money, how we teach about money with or model money relationships with our families. How do you specifically, what are some of the lessons that you share with your children that I'm sure all of us can learn from as well?
the lessons that I share with my children. Before I get into that, I just want to preface this by saying I have done this for so long and been managing money alongside my daughter, who's 11 now. So I just got married last year. So my other two children have been with me for about a year and a half almost. But now my daughter, she's been with me, my financial journey since she was born, right? And so we have some of the wish bead bracelets.
Yay.
We got ours in the mail, right? And so I said, okay, write down your wish, write down what you desire to manifest. And she said, I already know what it is. Because guess what? I've been teaching her how to manifest, how to write down her wishes, how to be intentional about that which she desires to create in the world. Since she could write, she's had a manifestation journal, a wish journal. And so we wrote that wish down on our wish papers and rolled them up and put them in our bracelets. And so she and I wear them every day. And it's so special. Like, it just solidified everything that we stand for. So I just wanted to preface that before I forget. But the biggest thing, the number one thing that I've taught Taryn, which is my oldest, but also now teaching my younger two, is the cycle of money. So you can manifest money, and then you have to manage it, then you can multiply it, and then you give it, right? So there's 4 different steps, also known as earn, spend, share, save, right? Those are like the 4 things I teach my children. And so when they have money come in, whether they manifest it, whether they earn it, whether they receive it, whether it was a blessing, whatever the case is, I say, okay, now, before you allow your emotions and your feelings and your excitement to take over, let's take a step back. Let's go through the 3 things that we should do with our money. We should spend it, we should save some, and we should give some. So for me, one of the big pillars in my life, and I truly think that was powerful on my trajectory, was the supernatural law of reciprocity, right? Sow into someone else, somebody will sow into you. You reap what you sow. The law of attraction, the law of reaping and sowing, the law of, living in abundance is giving cheerfully to those who are in need or to places that are in need, and your needs will be met cheerfully,
I
right?
love that.
So that is one thing. So 10% to that, 10% to saving. So I asked them, because this is an integral part of financial success, even for adults. Have something you're working towards. What is your current financial goal? Is it building a business? Is it saving for emergency fund? Is it buying a new house? Is it renovating a kitchen? I don't care what it is, right? But have a goal for your money. So every time money comes in, you don't spend it based on emotion. You spend it based on intention. So I tell my children, what is it that you wanted to save for? Only 10%. So if you get $1, only 10 cents needs to go to the savings jar because you want a bike, or you want a new helmet, or you want some new shoes, or you want this or that, right? And then the rest you can spend. right? Because you need to enjoy the fruits of your labor. So for my children, they earn money not from their chores. So one thing I always tell people, don't get them into the habit of expecting something that they should be doing. Like they should do chores. It's our house. We are a team. So when we all blended, we're a blended family. So when we first came into our home, we had a family meeting and I said, we are a team. We are all teammates on the same team. So everybody is in charge of an area of the house to make sure that no one person has too many responsibilities on them, and AKA me.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen.
Right. Correct.
We're not gonna overwhelm mom. Like let's start there. So, and also, we are a team. We didn't start together, but we're here now. So let's do this. Let's make the best of it. And so, I just think being a team player, doing your chores, that should not warrant money. However, anything above and beyond that, and I always have a list of tasks that I need. So if you want to be my helper for today, I pay well, right?
Me too. I know it.
I pay well. I always need help packing an order or helping outside in the garage or something. I always pay them for anything extra. And so every time they get some money, every time they earn money, they save some, they give some, and they spend some.
That is awesome. And I love the simplicity of that. I absolutely love the simplicity of that. And it's funny because once you take a child on that financial journey, they realize like, oh my gosh, this really adds up.
It does.
But also when they want something, when they want to buy something and it becomes their money, they also become quite mindful.
Oh yeah, they said, I'm not spending my money on that, but yet you'll ask me for it. Okay.
Yeah. This past weekend, I took my kids down to a part of Los Angeles where there's a lot of like very hip stores, that are very trendy for their age group, not even just their age group, honestly, but anyway, we went into one store and all of the shoes on the wall were shrink wrapped. And I'm like, what is all this? And it's one of those stores that sell like vintage sneakers. Ooh. And so we walk in and of course, like I had seen videos about this, but here we are in LA and there they are. And so of course they know right away, we're not the buyers. We're just like a family checking this out. And so we're like, we just want to see the most expensive shoes you have. Like, we just want to see. They pulled out a pair of like Air Jordans that were $35,000. $35,000. And they're like, and that one up there is 11,000 and that one's 10,000. And these are like shoes from the mid 80s, Yeah. But what it sparked was such interesting conversations about value and money, perceptions. What would you pay for? What is the point? Like, it was so interesting to actually be there and think, that's fascinating. Somebody will buy that. And we said, how often does somebody come and buy that? They're like, a couple times a week. Yeah. And so it was just fascinating. All of it was so fascinating. I love that.
That is so cool. And going back to what you said about what kids value and what they'll spend their money on versus ask you for. It's so funny because now Taryn, who's my daughter, who's been with me who I've been a single mother to for years, and she's been on this financial journey the whole way through, she doesn't ask me, like, so, if someone sees something on TV or something, if we're in the store, her mind, the way it has developed now is not to say, hey, mom, I want this, or can you buy me this? She says, oh man, let me see how much money I have in savings. Like, she goes back to herself and it's either, hey, do I have enough money to buy this, or what can I do in order to afford this? And that's exactly
bravo you.
Yeah.
Like, to have a daughter at 11 who's thinking that way. And by the way, let's make sure that we also know that your daughter is an entrepreneur as well.
Yes, she is.
So can you talk about her business?
So she is a crafter. And so what she does is she makes rubber band bracelets, which I don't know if anybody's, or looming bracelets, but now she's transformed and she's kind of elevated into friendship bracelets and the very, very, very intricate bracelets, like the ones that they sell online or in stores. She like masters them. It's
Wow.
amazing. And, she just started off with the Instagram kind of organically, where she said, I just want to share my creations, Mom. Can I have an Instagram? We don't let like adults or anything else, because there's like a lot of kids on Instagram that share their crafts or whatever. So it's like this little space on the internet, and other little girls buys her bracelets.
That's so cute. Can we post? So is it only for kids? Can we post her Instagram on this?
Yes. Yeah, we could post her Instagram.
Okay. Where can people find her?
At Taryn, Taryn creates. Let me see if it's Taryn underscore creates, or just Taryn.
Well, and we'll make sure to put it all in the show notes so that we can.
It's at Taryn underscore creates.
Nice.
Yes.
Because Taryn creates, man.
Yes,
she creates stuff.
Oh my goodness. And I mean, they're beautiful. If you see, like, once you see her Instagram, you're like, a 10-year-old did this, 11-year-old did this.
Amazing. Yes. I absolutely love that. And I'm really excited also because you are our special guest host, a co-host for our Wish Circle, which is going to be May 24th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to do a really special giveaway for those of you listening. We are going to give away the ultimate financial planner written by Tara. And because it's so perfect, we didn't plan this, but we're going to give away a Wishbeads matte light jade. It's you can't really focus in it, but a matte light jade Wishbeads bracelet, and light jade also stands for wealth and wisdom. How appropriate is that?
So appropriate. And I have one on. Look how beautiful it is.
Yay!
You can open it up, put your wish in there, so you can put your financial goal in there, your financial wish, and put it in there and seal it up and carry around with you every day.
Yeah. So it is a unbelievable combination to have your financial plan and your intention, your wearable intention. And together on the Wish Circle, we are going to tap into the energy of money and see a moment in time, visualize it in your mind's eye, where you're really living your financial dream, whatever that looks like for you. Yeah. And then afterwards, by using the financial planner plus the Wishwork, you will start to learn those really critical habits of empowering yourself to manage your money, to love your money, to learn how to give your money, to build up your savings account and honor the energy of that pretty penny so that you eventually can manage pretty millions.
Yes, because how you manage $1 is how you'll manage $1 million.
That's right. It's the same. It's the same. So thank you so much, Tara. Where can everybody find you online?
I am at Your Pretty Pennies on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and also yourprettypennies.com is my website. And so I'm very easy to find. So yes, definitely connect with me. I'm super friendly. Let me know you're listening to the podcast and you came over from the podcast, and can't wait to connect with you.
Awesome. Amazing. Well, I'm so delighted we connected. I can't wait for our Wish Circle. I am so in honor. I have actually my own financial planner. So I'm going to be gifting one and enjoying one. So thank you for that. And I just love this. I think that, money is energy. And when we can learn how to grow with it, you can change your life in really extraordinary ways and have a positive impact on others. Yes. So thank you, Tara, for the beautiful work that you do, the beautiful person that you are. And I just wish you all the best with everything.
Thank you so much for having me. This was amazing.
All right, friends, thank you for listening to the podcast. And if you are ready to join Tara and I for our virtual Wish Circle that is happening at the end of May 2021, specifically on the 29th at 10 a.m., sign up. There is a link to join us in the show notes. And again, as a reminder, for those of you who show up live, you will be entered to win your very own financial planner plus a matte light jade Wishbeads, which is perfect for aligning yourself with the power of wealth and wisdom. How about that? So I hope you will sign up. Bring your friends. All are welcome. The Wish Circle is free. You do not need to have Wishbeads to show up, although they're a really powerful part of the experience. But we would be excited to wish with you. So do sign up and have a fabulous day. You deserve it. And I'll see you next time.